I'm your host, Amy. Welcome back to another episode of Mythbusters. Today we will be talking about substance use disorder.
Start with, what is substance use disorder? Well, according to the National Institute of Health, substance use disorders occur when the recurrent problematic use of alcohol or drugs causes clinically significant impairment, including health problems, disability, and failure to meet major requirements and responsibilities at work, school, or home.
Myth 1. If you have substance use disorder, you just have no self-control.
To start with, let's talk about the reward system in the brain. Usually, we look at the ventral tegmental area, and that's usually activated by signals from other areas of the brain. But when you use drugs, it tends to cause the ventral tegmental area to actually release dopamine. And it ends up going down the mesolimbic pathway to the nucleus accumbens, which then the dopamine attaches itself to the neurons in the nucleus, and then the dopamine in the nucleus sends signals to the prefrontal cortex saying, hey, that was good, let's do it again. But drugs make more dopamine or block reuptake. So more is available, making these highs feel super intense and more pleasurable. As a result, the brain adapts and becomes less responsive to normal amounts
And
of
dopamine also serves to reinforce
and
behavior.
that is what
So
we
when
call
there's a sheer rush of
tolerance.
dopamine because of drugs, the brain will want to seek out drug usage again, resulting in psychological and physical dependency. Eventually, seeking out this high will become a top priority for the brain. Many estimates vary, but as far as heritability goes, genetic influences can account for approximately 50%
busted.
of your risk. And there are
Myth
many
2.
specific genes.
There's nothing
that can
genetic
account
about
for your
substance
risk
use
as well.
disorders. It's
For
all
example,
just poor
let's
choices.
talk about alcohol. When talking about alcohol, GABA receptors help mediate the effects of alcohol. One of the genes that make up the GABA receptors is called GABA2, and this gene is associated with an increased likelihood of alcohol use disorder. Different variations of this gene are linked to higher risks of alcohol dependency, and also there were differences in brain oscillations, which was related to inhibiting self-control. Fun fact, this study was done using EEG. I feel like it's important to say that just because you might have a higher risk of developing a substance use disorder than someone next to you does not mean that you will. This is called genetic determinism, and this is wrong. There are so many different things that go on that influence whether or not you develop one. With this one, we're actually going to be talking about epigenetics. It is important to understand that epigenetics does not mean your DNA is being changed, it's only changing how it's expressed. Think of the experiment done with the rats. Some rats, their
And with
environment
that,
was calm,
another
they were
busted
nurtured
myth.
and groomed
Myth
by their
3.
mothers.
Trauma
While others,
ruins
their
DNA and
environment was
results
more
in
hectic,
drug
their
use.
mothers neglected them, and they did not receive the same care as the first group of rats. So what happened was the group of rats that wasn't treated as well as the first group of rats, they ended up being more stressed and anxious, whereas the first group of rats, where the mothers did groom them and take care of them, they were more calm. This is similar to how if we are exposed to trauma, this can cause some DNA to methylate, especially with a glucocorticoid receptor gene. Having these genes now expressed can make you more susceptible to stress, and as a result, some might seek out outside help from substances to help alleviate that stress. Even if you are exposed to trauma, you can still protect yourself. Journaling, exercising, or listening to music are just some coping mechanisms that you can use, along with having a strong support group and possibly reaching out and going to therapy. So no, your DNA is not ruined, but depending on what you've been through, it might be expressed differently. So please stay optimistic and always take care of yourself.
Our third and final myth has been busted. Thank you so much for watching. These are my sources if you want more information. If you or a loved one is experiencing a crisis, reach out to 1-800-662-4357 or 988.